Isabella's POV. I don't know why I did what I did. It just felt right to do. So I placed my lips on his. I don't know how to kiss, but I have to try, isn't it? Damien stood frozen. I'm not sure it's a good thing or a bad thing, so I moved my lips a little. That seemed to bring him out of the daze, and he took control. He held my waist with one hand and pulled me closer. His other hand tangled itself in my hair. I've moved my hands and wrapped them around his neck. He licked my bottom lip. Then he squeezed my hips a little and I gasped. He took the chance and slipped his tongue in my mouth. He fought for dominance and eventually won. Soon I was out of breath and in need of oxygen. He pulled away and rested his forehead against mine. His eyes were still closed and he licked his lips, smiling.
That was amazing,
he said in a husky voice. I nodded and looked down shyly. He removed his hand from my hair and cupped my face, making me face him. My face is burning. I could feel the blush on my cheeks.
Don't hide your pretty face from me, baby. Don't be shy. We'll be doing that a lot now,
he said, smirking. I could tell. My cheeks were a replica of tomatoes. He chuckled at my reaction and pulled me in a tight, possessive hug.
I was so worried about you. From this minute, I will not let you out of my sight.
His voice came out muffled. Damien, who were those people? Why did they take me? I asked. He pulled away a little and held my waist.
I guess you deserve to know everything,
he said, and continued to tell me about Adam, their friendship and what happened 3 years ago, and why they kidnapped me. So, now it's all over?
Yes, Princess, it's all over. Me and Adam sought out our differences, and are back to being friends. You don't have to worry about anything, Princess,
he said with a smile.
Lovebirds, dinner is ready,
Nate yelled from the other side of the door.
When did they leave?
Damien asked to no one in particular. Then realization hit me in the face. They were here when I kissed Damien. Oh God, kill me now. I hid my face in my hands and groaned. Warm hands covered my hands and pulled them off my face.
What's wrong?
Damien asked softly. He's so sweet. I kissed you in front of all of them. What will they think of me now? I will not be able to face any one of them for months. Damien only laughed at my explanation and shook his head. I pouted and he kissed me again. Just a peck.
It's nothing to be embarrassed, baby. It was just a kiss. And I'm sure they will forget about it by the time dinner is done,
he said, giving a charming smile.
But I won't forget it. After all, you took my first kiss.
I looked at him with a shocked expression. Yes, it was my first kiss too. I saved it for my mate. I was fascinated by the idea of finding a mate since I was a kid. So I wanted to have my first experience with my mate. Now it was his turn to blush. I giggled, which earned a groan from him.
Okay, now enough talking. Let's get dinner. You didn't even have lunch. Don't want you to starve now, do we, Princess?
He said and pulled me by my hand. We reached the dining room and the chatter immediately stopped and everyone turned their heads towards us. I shifted closer to Damien and wished that the earth would open and swallow me.
Nina? What are you doing here?
Damien's words caught my attention. I looked around and sure enough there was a smiling Nina sitting on a chair. She stood up and tackled me in a hug. I'm sorry, Issa. I should have not left you. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, she said, pulling back. It's not your fault, Nina, I said with a smile.
You indeed have a gem of a mate, buddy,
a voice said from behind. I turned around and saw a man with dark hair and eyes, same age as Damien.
Baby, this is Adam, the one I was talking about,
Damien said. He smiled and extended his hand for me to shake. I accepted it with a smile.
Nice to meet you, Isabella, and sorry for the inconvenience.
It's okay, I said quietly. We all took a seat at the table and served ourselves. There was mac and cheese. I took a small portion that I thought I could eat. But as I was about to finish, Damien added a few spoonfuls more to my plate. I was about to question him, but he gave me a stern look and gestured for me to eat it. I pouted, but finished, with surprisingly not much effort. I flashed a victory smile to Damien, and he patted my head like a puppy. Everyone laughed a little, and I joined too. After dinner, we all sat in the living room, talking about anything.
Hey, Nina, you didn't tell us how you got here,
Damien asked. I was cuddled to his side, seeking warmth. Oh, I was really worried about Issa, so I was constantly mind-linking Nate for your location, and he finally gave in, telling me you were here, so I came as soon as I could, she explained. Damien nodded and pulled me closer to his side, kissing the top of my head. Adam came in with a plastic bag in his hand.
Hey, I guess we should watch some movies. While having ice cream?
He exclaimed, and I squealed excitedly at the mention of ice cream.
So is that a yes?
He looked around and everyone nodded. We debated on which movie should be watched. I didn't know many movies, so I just kept quiet. Everyone eventually decided on watching Conjuring. It was a horror movie, much to my horror. I hate horror movies, but Damien got really excited about the movie. So for his sake, I agreed. Throughout the movie, my head was buried in Damien's chest. I only had a few sneak peeks here and there. I couldn't even eat my ice cream myself. My hands were too busy covering my eyes. Damien had to feed me ice cream, but he was not complaining. Somewhere in the middle of the movie, I had an urge to go to the bathroom. I was too scared. I had no other option, so I poked Damien on the cheek. He was so absorbed in the movie that he didn't notice. I poked him again and again until his attention was on me. Finally.
What's the matter, Princess? You need anything?
He asked, and I shook my head. I need to use the bathroom, I said.
It's right at the end of the hall when you exit the living room, Princess.
He said. I know, but I'm scared, I said in a quiet whisper. He raised his eyebrows and tried to hide his smile, but failed with a big F.
Okay, I'll come along then.
He said and got off the couch and held my hand as he led me to the bathroom. He switched on the light and motioned for me to go in.
You go in, baby. I'll be right here.
Trusting him, I went in and did my business. I finished and washed my hands. Damien? I called. No answer. Damien! I called again. This time there was shuffling out of the door. Damien, is that you? My voice cracked at the end. I hesitantly opened the door and sighed in relief. Damien was leaning on the wall, and his eyes closed. He was sleeping. I shook his shoulder, a little too harshly. Damien! His eyes snapped open and looked around for danger. Then his eyes landed on me. He smiled apologetically.
Sorry, I didn't know sleep took over.
He rubbed the back of his neck and chuckled nervously. It's okay, but don't do that next time. I was so scared, I said with a small pout. He kissed my pout and held my hands.
Sorry, it won't happen again,
he said. We went back to the living room and halted when we saw the scene in front of us. Nate sleeping on the couch with his mouth open. But that's not all. Nina and Adam, lips locked.
What the hell is going on?
Damien's voice boomed through the house. Oh God.
1. Damien's POV. What the hell is going on? I was completely horrified by the view in front of me. My sister and my friend. This is unacceptable. Both of them sprang apart, both breathing heavily, lips swollen and hair messy. If I were any more late, I don't know what they would have done. Ugh, I don't even want to think about that. I felt a soft, small hand on my arms, and I relaxed a little. Little. I am still furious. If you don't want me to kill someone tonight, then explain what is going on, I yelled. Both had the same terrified expression. Adam opened his mouth to say something, but Nina beat him to it, and the words that came out left me speechless.
He's my mate, Damien. We are each other's second chance, like you are Issa's.
I don't know what to reply to that. Nina found her mate on her birthday, 6 months from today. When she turned 16, just like Adam, she found her mate quiet early. He was the chef of the pack house. He was a good match for her, though they were completely opposite. They balanced each other. But one day the rogues had attacked, and he died, saving Nina. It had taken her quite some time to be back to her normal self again, but she did. And now this. I didn't say anything and sat on a couch, my face emotionless. I felt Bella sit next to me. I pulled her on my lap and inhaled her scent, honey and cinnamon. I calmed down a bit. I finally came to my senses. When? I asked. Adam sighed. Today, I came to the Howler's Pack to meet the Alpha. He needed our help for something. For some odd reason, he told me to come from the forest side. When I reached, I felt my wolf howl and a sense of happiness bloomed inside me. Then I saw Nina coming from inside the house, and I knew she was my second chance, and I was the one she was speaking to. When you saw us, he finished and Nina continued her part.
I was really restless that morning, so I thought of going for a run. Then I saw Adam coming from the forest, and like he described, I knew he was my second chance. He tried to convince me to accept him, but I was not sure. After all, you and Adam don't get along. So I told him I'll think about it and left.
I closed my eyes and sighed. I looked at Bella. Just looking at her face calms me down. She ran her fingers through my hair, and I groaned. Okay then, what can I do when you two are destined to be together? Now that I have found my mate too, I know how it feels. Both of them had a smile on their faces. Then I turned to Adam. But if you hurt my baby sister in any way, I will cause some serious damage. He chuckled nervously and nodded. Then my eyes landed on a dead-looking Nate. Seriously, this guy sleeps like a log. Right now, the world could be ending, and he would still be found sleeping. I shook my head and chuckled. Continue what you are doing. We are going to sleep, I said, and picked up Bella in my arms. She squealed, but didn't protest. I still remember my room, in the manor, 2nd floor, 3rd room. I opened the door, and as expected, the room was the way I left it. Plain blue walls, white furniture, and a golden frame on top of my bed. I always wanted to have a big picture of me and my mate together, so I brought the frame. I can finally feel it. It won't be empty anymore. I closed the door with my leg and placed Bella on her feet. She looked around the room and smiled. I guess she liked the room.
Is this your room?
She asked, and I nodded.
It's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. There was a knock on the door and I opened it while Bella made herself comfortable on the bed. Nina was standing there smiling. What do you want? I asked and raised an eyebrow. She made a sour face and stuck her tongue out.
I came here to give you some of Adam's pajamas. And also, I brought Issa some clothes before coming here. Bye.
She huffed and handed me 2 small bags before turning on her heels.
Who is it?
Bella asked. I turned around and closed the door. Nina brought some clothes for you before coming here, and some of Adam's clothes for me. I gave her the bag and she smiled. I kissed her forehead and told her to change in the bathroom, and I will change here. I stripped off and wore Adam's clothes. They were quite comfortable. Then Bella came out of the bathroom, in short shorts and crop top. She looked heavenly. She sniffed the air a little and frowned. Then she looked at me, and her lips formed into an O. What happened, baby? Any problem? I asked. She just came to me and took hold of the t-shirt I'm wearing and sniffed it. I frowned. What is she doing? Baby, what are you doing? I asked her. Her nose scrunched up in an adorable manner, and I almost awed.
Whose clothes are these?
She asked, ignoring my questions. Adam, I replied. She just shook her head and said,
Don't wear it. It doesn't smell like you.
God, kill me now. She's so cute and innocent. Your wish is my command, Your Highness. I did a little bow and she giggled. I decided to sleep in my boxers tonight, since my Bella doesn't want me to wear Adam's clothes. I stripped off to my boxers and saw Bella covering her eyes. Oh God, what am I going to do with her? I mentally chuckled. I slowly removed her hand from her eyes and kissed her cheeks. Baby, if you feel uncomfortable, then tell me. I will sleep in my clothes then, okay? It's no problem at all, I said, and she shook her head.
No, it's okay. It's just that I've never seen a man so naked before.
She said quietly, looking at my face as if avoiding to look down. Okay then, let's go to sleep, okay? We leave tomorrow morning. We can have breakfast on the way to your pack, I said, and helped her under the covers. It looked as if she's drowning in the covers. I kissed her nose lightly and laid down on the other side. Switching off the lamps, I turned around to face Bella and wrapped an arm around her small waist.
Damien?
I mumbled, my eyes closed.
Where are we?
She asked. I opened my eyes and felt her turn around to face me. I brushed some of the hair off her face. This is the mansion our parents gave to me, Adam, and Nate when we were young. It is like our headquarters. We hung out here. Most of the time of our lives we spend here, I explained and felt her nod.
Good night, Damien.
A smile formed on my lips and I kissed her forehead once again. Good night, baby. Sweet dreams.
Chapter 22. Isabella's POV. A loud thud woke me up, followed by a string of curses. I tried to ignore it and snuggled into the soft fabric of the covers. After a few minutes, a soft hand brushed my cheeks, sending sparks through my body. Damien. His large hand caressed my cheeks lightly and brushed the hair from my face. I leaned against his touch and enjoyed the feeling.
Baby, wake up. It's time to leave.
His soft voice made me sigh in content. How can he be called cruel and ruthless? He is such a sweet mate. I mumbled some words that definitely made no sense to him, or even me. I heard him chuckle and kiss my eyes.
Wake up, princess. Everyone left already. We're already late.
At those words, my eyes flutter open. The first thing I see is the bright smile on his face. He leans in and gives my lips a short and sweet kiss. That makes my cheeks burn. It will take some time to get used to the kissing. What do you mean everyone left? It's so early, I said and got off the bed to use the bathroom.
It's already noon, baby. You slept in.
He called behind me. I froze. Never in my life have I slept in. Once I did, and I learned my lesson to never do it again. I look at him. Why didn't you wake me up? I asked and stood in front of him. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, fully dressed. He wrapped his hands around my waist and pulled me between his legs.
You look so peaceful while sleeping. I didn't want to wake you up, so I told everyone to leave. We will leave later, in my car.
He said, shrugging his shoulders.
Now, get ready. It's a 3-hour drive. They must have reached the pack house.
I nodded and kissed his head and ran to the bathroom. I heard him laugh and let out a giggle of my own. I did my business and brushed my teeth. I came out and saw a dress laid on the bed for me. I pick it up, along with some underclothes from the bag, and get into the shower. After getting ready, I go downstairs. Damien is sitting on the dining table with a plate full of food in front of him, untouched. He sensed me coming and looked at me. His eyes skimmed me from head to toe and opened his arms for me. I didn't hesitate before going to him and leaned into his touch. He adjusted me on his lap to make me comfortable, and we both ate in silence, a comfortable silence. After our lunch, I packed whatever things were left here and there and met Damien at the garage. We got into his car and drove off. During the drive, he held my hand with his one hand and gripped the wheel with the other. I turned on the radio. Love Me Like You Do started playing. I liked the song, even if I never heard it before. I dozed off sometime later and woke up when the car came to a stop, or more like, jerked. I looked at Damien with a frown on my face. He gave me a smile and got out of the car. I looked outside the window and realized that we were in the middle of a gravel path. It was unknown area. There was no sign of civilization, only a few trees and flat land. I could make out by the color of the sky that it will be dark in a few hours. We have been on the road for so long. There was smoke coming out of the bonnet of the car. I could barely see Damien opening it and examining what was the problem. After a few minutes, he closed the bonnet and came in. There were black patches on his face. I took out the box of tissue from the dashboard and wiped the patches. He gave me a sheepish look. What's the problem? I asked.
The car broke down, and I have no idea how to fix it.
He sighed and closed his eyes. You tried to call someone? Maybe... He cut me off by saying,
I tried, but my phone has no network in it, and also the battery is low.
We could walk. Maybe we will reach the pack house before dark.
About that, I have no idea where we are. I was following the GPS, but somewhere in the middle of the drive it stopped working.
I gave him a "are you serious" look, and he just bit his lip and chuckled nervously. What are we gonna do now? I said at the verge of having a panic attack. Damien sensed my uneasiness and pulled me on his lap. He stroked my hair with his large hand and hugged me tightly.
Don't worry, baby. We'll stay the night in the car, and in the morning we can start walking, and maybe find some help. I guess I have some packed sandwiches in the bag, on the back seat. We can have that and sleep for now. I'm here, don't worry.
His words calmed me down a little. We ate the sandwiches and cleared the back seat to sleep in. We kept all our bags in the front. Damien laid down on the back seat, leaving no room for me. I stood there staring at him. He noticed me standing there and smiled. Suddenly, he pulled my hand, which caused me to fall on top of him. He closed the door with his foot and adjusted me on top of him, my head resting on his chest and his legs tangled in mine. His left hand was under his head, and the other hand was wrapped around me tightly, almost possessively. He kissed my head and closed his eyes. Good night, Damien.
Good night, Princess. Dream of me.
That earned him a smack on his chest. He just chuckled and held me more tightly. The warmth radiating from him was comforting, and before I knew it, I was deep asleep.
Chapter 23. Damien's POV. The first thing I noticed when I woke up in the morning was the soreness in my back. Sleeping in the back seat of a car and having your mate sleep on top of you is not a piece of cake. I shifted slightly to make myself comfortable, but that didn't go as planned. Instead, it woke up Bella. She shifted and raised her head. That was shoved between my neck and shoulder. I smiled at her, not wanting her to see him in pain. Good morning, baby. Did you dream of me as I told you? She gave me a bright smile in return, but it soon turned into a frown when she sensed my discomfort. She got off me and helped me sit up. She eyed me with concern. She grabbed my shoulder and turned me around, so my back was facing her. She pressed her soft hands on my back, the pain decreasing with every touch. Her hands were magical. I needed it. An unconscious groan escaped my mouth. She continued to massage my shoulders for a few minutes. Baby, I'm feeling much better now, thank you, I said, giving her a bright smile, which she returned. I grabbed her hands and kissed each of her fingers in both palms.
It's the least I could do. You had to sleep uncomfortably, so that I would have a nice sleep, so...
I cut her off. Did you have a nice sleep, Bella?
Yes, very.
She said brightly. Then it was totally worth it. I leaned to kiss her, but she moved her head to the side, which made me kiss her cheek. I pulled back and groaned. Sensing my frustration, she only giggled, which were music to my ears. I did my best to suppress the smile threatening to form on my lips. What? Can't a wolf get his good morning kiss now? I asked and glared playfully.
Morning breath,
she said and shook her head, covering her mouth with her hands. I grabbed her hand and pried them from her mouth, giving her a quick peck. I searched for a bottle of water. As soon as I found it, I gave it to Bella. She got out of the car and rinsed her mouth at the side of the road. I stretched my hands and looked around. I could only see flat land ahead. I have to think of something, and fast. Bella reached over and handed me the half-full bottle, and I washed my mouth. In hopes of fixing it, I checked the car again. I was a hopeless case. Why did you buy such a useless car, you stupid oaf? Dom said in a mocking manner. How would I know all this would happen? I shot back. Do anything. Mate is not happy. His words were true, though. Bella was scared, but didn't show it. Bella, I guess we have to abandon the car and move ahead. We can get help, I said. She nodded and smiled at me. Wolf form or human? I asked her. Even though I don't want her to tire herself by walking, it's her choice.
Human,
she said with a bright smile, and I raised an eyebrow.
I just want to.
Okay, if that's what you want, I sighed, and grabbed the necessary stuff from the car in one hand and Bella's hand in another. We walked in silence, slowly making our way through the isolated path, but the presence of my mate held me together. Pulling her closer, I slid my hand around her waist and kissed her cute button nose. After walking for 3 hours, Bella was regretting her decision now. She was too worn out to even stand straight. We were walking for 3 hours straight. At first, she was really excited for the adventure we were going to experience, and now she was sitting in the middle of the road, with her legs stretched out, groaning lightly. I chuckled and sat down beside her. I fished a water bottle from the bag. Opening the cap, I raised the bottle to Bella's lips. She took a greedy sip and sighed in content. I placed her legs on my lap and massaged them gently.
Damien, what are you doing?
Bella said, trying to take her legs off my lap. Trying to make my mate's pain go away, as she did to mine a few hours ago, I said, referring to this morning. She kept on protesting for some time, but gave in eventually. After I felt content with my work, I mentally patted my back when I saw Bella back on her feet, bouncing like a rabbit. It was getting sunny. The sun was full on blaring, and we were sweating like crazy. I removed my shirt and slinged it on my shoulder, but I couldn't feel better. How could I? My mate was sweating in front of me, and I couldn't do anything. I slipped the shirt back on. I cannot let my mate suffer all alone. I will suffer too. After an hour, we came upon a mutual decision to sit beneath a tree and eat something. After finding a fairly shady tree, we sat down. I searched through the bag and retrieved a plastic lunchbox filled with cookies. Why is there a box of cookies in the bag? I gave Bella a look and silently asked if she knew anything about the cookies.
Nina made some cookies the day before we left. She asked me to keep it in my bag because hers was full. I guess everything happens for a reason,
she explained, and took the box from my hand and handed me a cookie. I shook my head, but ate it anyway. After we had enough, we packed the rest and started to walk again. The heat was not that bad now, as it was a few hours ago. The sky was a shade of golden now, indicating that it was evening. Soon it will be completely dark. And as if God finally took pity on us, I spotted a small light a few miles away. It looked like a pub from here. You know where big and scary guys go? Yeah, that. My suspicions were cleared when we reached the source of light. It was a pub. The loud music could be heard from outside, and I didn't want to take Bella inside. But I can't leave her outside either. The chances of finding a phone were slim, but still there. I took hold of Bella's hand, holding it firmly in mine. I turned to face her. "Don't let it go," I said sternly. She nodded. I opened the wooden door and cringed at the strong smell of cheap alcohol. Bella stiffened beside me and I gave her hand a little squeeze for reassurance. I pushed past the huge bodies of drunk people and made it to the small counter where a scrawny and bald man was serving alcohol. He eyed Bella, and I instinctively pushed her behind me and held her wrist tightly. "What would you like to have?" he asked, and smiled, showing off his disgusting yellow teeth. "We would like to use a phone, please," I said, being as civil as possible, with these people looking at my mate as if she were a piece of meat. "Ah, yes, it's in the backside, just through the door." He pointed to an old beaten-up tin door. "Thank you," I said, and placed a hand on Bella's back, going through the door. I located the old telephone in the corner of the small room. I placed the holder between my ear and shoulder and pressed the keys. It started to ring. "Hello?" Nate's voice came from another side. I sighed in relief. "Nate," I said happily. I swear, I was never this happy to hear his voice in my whole entire life. "Damien, where are you guys? We thought you guys eloped to Vegas to get married. We were worried," he exclaimed. I rolled my eyes. Only he could get these stupid ideas. "Nate, don't worry, we didn't elope anywhere. My GPS stopped working, and we got lost. My phone has a little battery remaining. Track down my number and come pick us up. We're near a small, freaky pub," I said. "On it," he said, and hung up.
Is he coming?
Bella asked, and I smiled and nodded. She sighed in relief. We left the pub and found a tree, comfortable enough to sit under, waiting for Nate. It was already dark, and I could tell Bella was tired and sleepy from all the walking. I laid her head on my lap and slowly stroked her hair. She slowly fell asleep. I kissed her forehead. Sleep didn't come to me. I was on high alert for any type of danger lurking around, or any sign of Nate. It's gonna be a long night.